All right, here we go, guys. Never off the boat, fifth episode. Welcome back. Whoever is listening out there, you guys are awesome. I hope you are doing well. Anyway, I'm doing great. This is 11:31 Sunday night, August 9th. Just finished all my stuff, all the things I need to do, cleaning the apartment, doing groceries, and washing clothes and all that. Not really washing clothes myself. Throw them into the washing machine. But yeah, here's the thing. A recent discovery I had was having a 9 to 5 kind of a corporate job. You don't really have any time for yourself during the weekdays. Like, it's consumed by your job. And the rest of the time you have to go about your daily routine, eating, doing groceries, and then going working out, right? That's all the things that you still need to do on a daily basis with or without a job. And with that, and added with 8 hours of daily work, you have nothing left. I couldn't do anything. I come back and I relax a little bit, and I go to bed. Maybe I'm not being efficient enough. I don't know how people do it, to be honest. To all of you who have been working 9 to 5 for a long time, wow, I think you guys are superheroes. You guys are cool. I don't know how you manage it. It's very difficult, I would say. It's very I think I could eventually get used to it, but it takes some effort for sure. But yes, today is Sunday night. I'm perfectly rested. Had a great weekend. I didn't do a lot of things this weekend, but mostly just was reading this book by Haruki Murakami called Killing Commendator. It's a first book from Haruki Murakami that I have been reading in English. Previously, I was only reading him in Chinese, which was a very different kind of reading experience for me. Like, reading Chinese, I was wired in a different way. It was almost like I don't know how to describe it. I almost felt like I was eating some kind of a soup. It was very warm, and it sat well with my stomach. It wasn't really difficult. It wasn't really tough. Like, it just kind of is lukewarm, kind of a stream of soupy content just kind of like flew into your stomach, and it warmed you up, and then you feel like energized and you feel a certain type of way. It depends on what kind of soup that was. When I was reading Norwegian Wood, I remember it was kind of like I don't know, kind of chicken soup type of thing. It warmed you up. It's very healing. It was very delicious. It was a little bit, I don't know, too bougie for me, a little bit too fancy, There's a little bit cilantro in there, here and there, very hipster. And then when I was watching A Wild Sheep Chase, which was all-time favorite from Haruki Murakami for me, I remember that soup was a little bit more spicy, a little bit more edgy. Maybe there was elk meat in there. I don't know. It was cathartic, if I have to use an adjective to describe that reading experience. But those were all in Chinese, right? They were translated from Japanese into Chinese, and that was it. Soupy. I never read it in Japanese, but now I bought one from Rochva Ramad the other day, or Apollo. I think Apollo bookstore in, where was it? God, memory doesn't serve me right. Oh yeah, in Ylamistab shopping center next to the airport, and I bought it from there. Like, reading English from this Japanese writer that I really like. I gotta repeat his name one more time. Haruki Murakami. Reading him in English is so different. Wow, that kind of it takes away some heaviness. It got more lightweighted. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you know what I mean, but it's not as heavy anymore. That the heaviness associated with using kanji, using Chinese character, of reading Chinese character got lifted. And now the only thing left it is, I guess, is a heaviness of the meaning itself, is the content itself. The textual heaviness has been lifted, which is really, really cool. I think I get to enjoy the story a little bit more instead of being trapped in the format. It's going very smoothly so far. I feel like I'm eating bread for some reason when I'm reading this book. It's solid. You know what I mean? Like, it take a little bit more time for me to kind of understand the word and make sense out of those words, English words. Excuse me. Because in my head, this guy is, you know, his writing is not supposed to be English. It's a little bit awkward, I would say, but still I enjoy it. It's pretty. I have it right here. Look, it's 700 pages. It's huge. It's like a brick. I can't even take it out. I just try to read it. I try to finish it at home. I did like maybe 20 pages yesterday. Today I didn't have time to read it, but tomorrow I'm gonna read maybe 20 more pages. But yeah, God, this guy is amazing. He runs marathon. He was a bar owner before he started writing when he turned 29. Before that, he didn't do any writing. He finished his college in Japan, spending 7 years doing it. Normally people do it in 3-4 years, right? He did it in 7 years. And now he's like, I guess he's still one of the most famous Japanese writer out there, right? Amazing dude. I really looked up to him. I think he also kind of became my introduction to jazz music. Yeah, wonderful guy. I used to listen to The Smith. I used to listen to The Smith when I was reading some of his book when I was attending college. It was also a very bizarre experience, combining a certain type of music with a certain type of book. Then they started becoming one. You know, they never separate again. I can't go back reading Norwegian without playing some sort of the Smith or the Door in the background. Otherwise, it just feels very, very strange, very, very out of context. But yeah, my weekend was great. The weather was nice. I went to the gym in Postimaya My Fitness, and they have this terrace out there on top of the building. And I was the only one there, so I got to like take all my clothes off, only having the underwear on. I was like sun tanning for half an hour, and now I'm extremely dark. I don't know if the camera pick it up, but when I get like half an hour of straight sunlight, I get like tanned. I get really tanned. I think that's one of the things with being Asian. Like, I got tan like really quickly, but I also like I go back to being pale really quickly as well. You should see me in the mid of the winter. It looks weird almost. But yeah, what do we want to talk about today? As you can see, today I'm by myself. There's no guest. Hopefully we'll get a guest for the next one, but today I want to kind of I want to talk about I want to talk about how I got to Estonia and how I first heard about Estonia and how the idea of moving here first got planted into my huge ass head. How did it all happen? So before I came to Japan, I was Chinese. I'm still Chinese. I've always been Chinese. See, I used to hate being Chinese, being associated with being Chinese. Like, nobody liked Chinese anyway. I don't even like Chinese. I still don't like it, but hey, I'm kind of starting to make peace with it. I started think, you know what? I gotta own it. Yeah, that's a separate story that deserves a separate episode. But today I want to talk about. Let's go back to talk about why I came to Estonia and how I found out about this country, right? So I lived in China all the way up to 18, high school graduation. I attended a little bit of college in China. I was quite good at school, I would say. I wasn't extremely good. I graduated from our class of 800 in the top, I guess, top 20, 30, 40. So it was okay, but I didn't get to go to like the top 10 university in China. There were a lot of university in China nowadays, but most of them like I wouldn't even think about going there. But there was this one top 10 university I really wanted to go to, which were in my hometown Nanjing. It was called Nanjing University, well, ironically, and it was really good. Or extremely good at humanity and the social science study specifically. And I was obviously a humanity and social science guy. I wasn't interested in natural science at all, which was kind of an oddity among the guys in China. You know, people tend to go study IT and study natural science like biology, geography, math, physics, whatever. The hard science, as we would call it in China back home. But I was more into like those softy, marshmallowy, in the air, pinkish, hipster sort of social science subjects. You know, that were my interest. I majored politics and history in high school, and I remember in our class, which had like 60 students, 66 I think, 66 students sat in that classroom. And we only have 5 guys. Everybody else, besides these 5 guys, were girls. Unironically. Yeah, it was an interesting experience to be that oddity, I guess. And but still, being who I was, being that top 20, top 30 students from our class, I didn't make it to the top 10 university in China. It was very competitive. I graduated in 2010. Well, 10 years ago. A decade ago. Oh my God. Huh. How crazy is that? I graduated a decade ago. Huh. Sick. All right. So I graduated back in 2010, and 10 years ago. God. So I graduated 10 years ago, and back in 2010, and there were half a million graduates from not China. Here's the thing: only in our province, Jiangsu province, there were half a million graduates. Together with me, graduated from high school that year. That's a big number, isn't it? It's almost like half in Estonia graduated from from high school on the same day. Yeah. From our province, there were half a million. And my graduation score, we have this national test. In my case, was a provincial high school graduation test that we all took, all the graduates from that year took. And I was ranked about top 4,000. 4,000 out of half a million. I should be proud, but I wasn't, because I didn't get into my dream school. I got into a pretty shitty top 30 university in Suzhou, which is like right in between Nanjing and Shanghai. If you look into your map, if you guys have one, or go to Google, Nanjing is spelled Nanjing, and Shanghai is I'm not gonna spell Shanghai for you. You know who is Shanghai. It's right in between Nanjing and Shanghai. There is this little cute little town called Suzhou. And I went there for college. I went to the university, Suzhou University, for German language and literature. I think the official name of the program, or something of that sort. I thought I was reasonably good at English, Chinese in general, just language. So I thought, why not picking up a third one? I thought it would be cool. I liked speaking English back then, and I thought like if I could learn a new language, it would be good. Either finding a job or going somewhere in Europe, it'll be extremely useful. I don't know. Plus, back then I just thought it'll be whatever. I just wanted to get into university. Before university, nobody really asked me like, what do I actually want to do in university? No, that's the whole point. You just go to the university. No matter what you study, you will be fine as long as the university itself is good. That's kind of like the tradition, or at least like the perceived kind of reality back home in China. It's like you graduate from a top-notch university, you'll get a top-notch job, and you'll get a top-notch family, and everything is good for you from there. Smooth riding, smooth sailing from there. I guess, yeah, I didn't put much thought into it. I thought, oh, well, let's do German. Why not? Anyway, I was quite bummed at that point about like not performing as good as I should have. So I'm like, okay, top 30 university, I failed in this. I was thinking about it. I was pretty good. Like, there was so much pressure on myself. I should have been happy. I should be happy with this top 30 university. It's still like challenging as hell. I studied every day from 7 to midnight, like non-stop. Didn't have like a single day off. I should have been good. I should have been proud of that achievement, but I wasn't. Like, I was just in my head. I thought, okay, I failed. All right. I didn't get into a good college. Now it's time to work hard in university. And once I graduate from Suzhou University, I'm going to go to a master program in one of the top 5 university, right? To redeem myself, because this time I failed. In Chinese, we have this expression called 在哪里跌倒就在哪里爬起来, right? Wherever you fall, you'll rise up from the same spot. I don't know how true is that, but but yeah, back then I was like, you know what? This time I didn't make it. 4 years later, I'm gonna be doing this again, and I'm gonna be even better. I'm gonna be the best of the best. And then spending 2 more years or 3 more years in uni and graduate with a top-notch master degree from a top-notch university. And my life will be smoother than butter, I guess, if that's the right expression. I really thought that was gotta be the case, because growing up, studying was all I knew. Like, my dad was like a living example for me. He grew up in a very, I guess, a rural area in China, still in the same province. But he grew up in a rural area, like in a very normal kind of farmer's family, but he studied hard. And through education, he was able to afford himself a life in the city. He was able to change his life. He was able to have like a desk job, which was like just unbelievable for a farmer's family, right? They couldn't do that. The farmer's kid will continue being farmers unless you study your way out of it. That's the only social mobility opportunity out there. There's no other way. My dad did that, and I guess that kind of like rang the family. That kind of attitude towards education is like, you must study. There's no other way. Now you're living comfortably in the city as the only kid, like everybody else. You're in the middle class, I guess, sorta. You don't have to worry about your livelihood, but still, we are working class. We're working middle class. If you want to be anything more than that, back in the early 2000s and 2010, I guess the entrepreneurial kind of mindset started kicking in China. Everybody's trying to do something by themselves. Even my dad was a corporate job. He was like doing his own furniture business and all that kind of side hustle. Like, everybody was starting up some sort of a small business. Like it was very prevalent kind of a trend in the country, entrepreneurial, very lively kind of atmosphere for people to do some business as side hustle or main hustle or whatever. And I guess for me, like I wanted to be more, right? My parents wanted more for me too. They don't want me to be just working a corporate job and stay in that corporate environment for the rest of my life. Or even if I did, they wanted me to be in a good company, as good of a company as possible. I don't know, right? They wanted the best for me. And back then in China, either you do business, start a business yourself, or you go to a really good state-owned company like Huawei or I don't know. That's all the only name I know. Or Alibaba, right? AliExpress, Jack Ma. Or you go to like be a public servant, working for the government, being a police officer, whatever. Even though you don't earn that much, you still get very comfortable of a life from your salary, but you won't get like, too much. But still, the good thing about being a public servant in China is it's such a secure job. Like as long as you don't fuck up major time, you'll have that job for the rest of your life. You can just cruise. You can be on auto control, right? Cruise control. You can be on cruise control and your life will be so comfortable. I think comfort and that security means a lot to my family, or for most of the Chinese out there, I think. Middle class. Yeah. So that was something I really looked forward to. I wanted that to be my life. I wasn't sure, but since it was being told to me like for my entire life, up to the point that I was 18, I took that for granted. I took that as a what is that word I'm looking for? Yeah, as truth. That's the word I'm looking for. As the only truth out there to life. I never thought about going abroad. Like, what? I heard about stories. Like about guys going abroad, like to study. In my head, I was like, nah. For several reasons, it won't work. First, my parents they're not poor. They definitely couldn't afford, right? Paying a tuition, letting me live abroad. Like, what is that? It's impossible. All I heard back then was people going to Canada, going to the States, going to UK for their education. And those tuition fees are mind-boggling. You pay like, 50 grand a year for attending a private college in the US. And then on top of that, you pay your meal and board and living expenses of sorts. Nah. My parents can't do that. I won't put that kind of pressure on them anyway. I didn't know the specific about their finance, but I think they couldn't do it. They never even bring this up, and I never asked, right? It was just like kind of like an impossibility in my head. I never even thought about it. That's the first reason. Financial reason. Second, I never thought I want to go abroad just because everything I needed was in my very close vicinity. Like there's no need to go anywhere. I don't think I even went around the city that much. My home city, my hometown, Nanjing, Nanjing, Nanjing represent. My home city was a modest metropole. It's the capital of the province. We call it the second tier city in China. This first tier comprises of Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou. Only three are honored as the first tier city in China. They're mega metropoles, right? But Nanjing is like a second tier, is a provincial capital, so it was decent. It was okay. Got 8 million people there, so let's say it's 6 or 7 Estonia, all in one city, right? Population wise. I had everything I needed. I didn't travel that much. I wasn't interested in traveling. I didn't know the point about traveling. I don't see the point. Like, what am I gonna do traveling? Like, yeah, like you gotta see all this like awesome buildings, and I was like, no, I don't want to see buildings. What am I gonna do with building? Can I eat the building? I was not interested in traveling at all. I think the only pleasure back then, what I got out of traveling was just eating food. And also that was like, in my head, I was like, I could have eaten this anywhere. My favorite food growing up was KFC, and it was everywhere throughout the country. So I was like, well, we don't have to come all the way here to the other side of China to eat this. But yeah, back then we lived on the north side of the city, which is less developed, financially speaking, part of the city. And the whole city of Nanjing was divided by a major river in China, runs through China. It's called Yangtze River, and half the city locates on the north side of the river, and the other half on the south. And I was from the north, which like I said, was less developed. But still, I got everything I needed. I never really had to go to the other side of the city until I attended a high school on the south side. But mostly I was on the north. I was kind of just there, doing my own thing. Now thinking of it as kind of like a North Korea and South Korea kind of scenario, but it wasn't that drastic of a difference. But there was still kind of a regional difference, in my opinion. On the south side, people looked a little bit different. They were fancier. They had like better cars and better houses, and their accent also sounded a little bit different to me. But overall speaking, I was happy with what I had growing up. I thought like China was home. I had everything I needed. I had all my friends, which weren't a lot. I wasn't a popular kid growing up. I was kind of always like a loner. I think all the kids in the neighborhood thought I was weird. I was talking quite a bit as well, but I think I just didn't know when to stop. I was kind of always like in conversation with people. I was always in the mood to talk, but kids, especially if you're young kids, like we don't want to talk. We just want to kind of, I don't know, throw rocks at each other, have fun, chase squirrels or whatever on the hill. So I guess that kind of annoys some kids. I don't know. Like I try to think of a reason why I wasn't popular, but I just don't know. Maybe it's because my weird head shape. Backside of my head is kind of flat. Is it because of that? I don't think it's because of that. I really don't know. Maybe I was hanging with the wrong crowd. But yeah, I was kind of like always lonely. I had like a few friends growing up. Three or four growing up. And I was always hanging out with them. I had them around me. Like they were extremely good friends because the less friends you have, the more you start to appreciate their existence, right? Well, they're all you have. But yeah, I was really happy with everything I had. Like, here's how the system set up in China, especially in my bubble, in my context, right? My parents worked in this state-owned company, and they had all the facility that are needed for their employees. It's a huge company. We're talking about like, I don't want to over exaggerate, but I will say at the height of the company, at the peak of it, right? Which were exactly the time when I was like in elementary school, 4th, 5th grade, all the way to my middle school years. They must had more than 10,000 employees, I would say. 10,000 employees or more. I'm not gonna say 50 because that's a crazy number now to think about it, but I'm gonna say 50. I'm gonna say 50,000 people were employed of that company, and at their families. That's a small community right there. It's a city right there, right? So they had everything they needed set up for the employees. They had their own hospital, their own school system from kindergarten all the way up to vocational school training. They have their own, did I say hospital? Okay. Hotels. What else? They even, public bath. They even had their own ice cream factory. They made ice cream themselves every summer. Wow. So you can live comfortably within that system. Like, imagine you were born into the hospital and then you got taken out of the hospital, you play around for a little while, and then you go to the kindergarten and all the way up to vocational school, which they train you to work for that company. And then you go directly into the company. And once you finish your service at the company, you come out from the other end at the age of 60 or 65, and then you go back to the hospital where you were born into. And you complete your life circle right on the same bed, same room, like the one you were born into. You could do that, hypothetically. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody actually did that. Yeah. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But couldn't be more true. That was it. And where was I? Living in that system for the first 15 years of my life was comfortable. It was all I knew. Like, I didn't know anything else. I didn't have any exposure to the world beyond my city, even beyond China, even less, right? I didn't know anything. I wasn't watching any shows outside of China, like, Hollywood movies. I wasn't into it. Like, maybe I have watched a few. Well, actually, I have watched quite a few movies back then, like the Hollywood blockbusters, but that was it. I wasn't into it. I was watching it mostly just because, wow, there's dinosaur in there. They're like robot cops. That was it. That was what I was into. There was so many explosions. Wow, that's awesome. I wasn't paying attention to the conversation. I wasn't paying attention to what they were talking about. And I didn't care. I couldn't care less about those. Like, I didn't even get the sexual tension within Jurassic Park, which was very blatant, to be honest. There were a lot of those. But I didn't pay attention to it. I wasn't sure, like, if I was pretty sure I wasn't into it back then. But the turning point came around kind of at high school time. I went to the South Side, and where people are more exposed to, I guess, Western culture, because people are more educated, they're more well off, they have more exposure to those kind of things. And I guess it was at that time I started to become more curious about what is life beyond China, what is life outside of the great wall of China, right? I was curious, but I never thought I would actually do it. I mean, I don't know. Why would I? Life is good here. I better just work my ass off and make sure that I'll be financially well off. And if that's the case, I'll go travel. I'll go travel every year to Europe, to North America, South America, Australia, wherever. I will go travel. But living somewhere else, like, I was hesitant because people look different. You know what I mean? They're white people, they're black people, they're Hispanics. What are those? I don't get it. I really wasn't sure. Like, people talk different. They were speaking English all the time. I wasn't sure like if I would be okay with it. Like speaking Chinese just sounds so comfortable. um, yeah, I didn't think I wanted it. It was just it's sort of like something you're curious about. It's like a cake that looks really fancy. They're sitting in the I don't know those glassy kind of a shelf, and you walk inside, and it's like, nah, yeah, it looks interesting. First, it's expensive. Second, I'm not sure if I'm gonna even like it, to be honest, because I never tasted. Am I intrigued enough to taste it? Maybe not, because I know that milk tart in the corner that cost me like 30 cents is gonna satisfy me just okay. So I'm not even gonna go out of my way to empty my pocket for this fancy I never tried kind of pie. What if it's bad, right? Yeah. You see, like I'll say sometime I'm allowing life to carry me around. I wasn't sure about this when I was just freshly out of high school, but this kind of became my life philosophy. I think if there's no necessity, I wouldn't do it. If I feel the necessity, then I'll do it. I only do it out of necessity. I only do it because I want it, right? I know for sure I want it. Back then, I didn't feel the urge for it. I just saw like I'll be okay at Suzhou University, doing my German major, graduating, maybe have two girlfriends in university, and after 1 year graduation, I'll marry the girl that I liked. And after 1 more year, after finding a solid, stable employment, I'll probably propose and then we'll marry. Did I say marry again? Okay. Maybe 1 or 2 years after university graduation, I'll marry and then we'll have a kid or two. Depends. If the first one is girl, then we'll definitely try the second one. um, it's a Chinese joke. Yeah, you need to have a boy to carry the family name. But yeah, that was my life plan. That was a game plan. Everything was supposed to work out that way. But you see, like that's the thing. I well, college went horribly for me, horribly bad for me. It could have been even worse. I didn't like it. I think the biggest problem was in high school. Everybody had a goal. I had a goal. My goal was to graduate. My goal was to study as hard as possible and go to the best university possible. But all of a sudden, you got into university, right? Either it's your dream university, you got in one, and now you lost that goal. What is it now? As long as you can graduate, your life will be on cruise control, remember? That's it. You made it. Like now you're a made man. Just like in a employment scenario, like in university, as long as you don't fuck up big time. By fuck up big time, I mean like not going to class at all. Or you burn down the main building of the campus. As long as you don't do that, you'll graduate. And your grade doesn't matter. Mostly. As long as you graduate with that piece of paper certifying that you finished your course, you'll be fine. The only thing that matters is you got in and you graduated from that university. If it's prestigious, you're good. You go to like a good company, you'll get in, and your life will be good. Trajectory is like this. Whoosh, your life is up. So, since that is the case, me, including a bunch of guys that lives in my dormitory, we all thought like, this is it. Like we did it. So what now? I lived in this dormitory on campus that had like 4 bunk bed in a 10 square meter little room. 8 of us shared this little room. There's a toilet in there as well. Imagine 8 dudes in an unair conditioned room in the summer, socks, Oh, mm, flavorful, flavorful. And guys, oh my god, mm, what a memory. When somebody lose hope, when somebody in their early 20s lost hope, lost a goal to fight for, what they do, they play computer game. I wasn't much of a gamer. I didn't do anything. I just probably go out and play basketball in the first month. I didn't do much. Oh, I probably was going out with girls too, but that was my interest. Sports and girls, right? I think. I don't know. And food. Go out for food too. But all the other guys, most of them, they were just sitting on their bed, their bunk bed, and they'll play computer game all day. Back then, it was really popular. World of Warcraft, WoW. And some people playing Counter Strike, those kind of games, all day. They wake up, they go to a few classes they have to go to, and then come back. Maybe finish their homework, maybe they don't, and then all day they just sit on their bed and then play computer games. And when they're hungry, they kind of go downstairs, they grab like a few packs of instant noodle, they come back, boil some water, pour the water in the pan, in the pot, and then they just eat those instant noodles all day, every day. Or they go to a cafe, canteen in uni, get a quick meal, come back, play games. That's it. I don't know if that was for me. Like, long story short, I quit. I quit probably 1.5 months after enrollment. I knew it wasn't for me. No, I that decision was quick and painless. Well, painful for my parents, painless for me, the heartless little asshole who took all this for granted. But yeah, um, I remember my parents asking me, like, when they came over to the uni to pick me up from the dormitory. They were asking me, my mom specifically. She was just like, "Well, what you gonna do now, little guy? What you gonna do now? You quit. Congratulations. But what now?" I said, "Mom, I'm gonna figure something out. Figure something out after quitting." um So I think out of sheer panic or the fear of getting slapped in the face right in front of all my dorm mates, I said, "Mom, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Europe. I'm gonna go abroad and study." My dad was the quiet one. My dad was, yeah, whatever. My mom was like, "Are you? Are you going to Europe now? I hope you got some money stacked up somewhere." It was interesting, difficult, turbulent time for the whole family. We went home. We started discussing possibilities because we definitely want to still continue my education. All three of us. That was the only consensus we had. But how are we going to do that? That was the question. And after quite some lengthy research on the internet, some talks, well, some is an understatement, a lot, a lot of talks in the family amongst the three of us, we landed on a proposal that I brought up that I wanted to go to Italy to study history and philosophy. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It sounded yeah. I don't know. The plan was, like, I really didn't have a plan. I kind of cobbled together some sort of a possible, you know, game plan from the internet. And I was telling my parents, hey, you know what? Listen, Italian ain't that hard, ain't that different from English. I speak okay English now, right? I can say, how are you? I'm doing fine, thank you. Where's the chicken wing? And all that type of stuff. Um, Italian, come on. It's gotta take me half a year. I'll be good. I'll study Italian from the scratch, and in half a year, I'll be ready to attend a university in Rome. I still remember the university's name. It's called Università Università de Rome La Sapienza. La Sapienza. The wisdom, I think. It's just University of Rome. Yeah. I told them, yeah, half a year of intensive language training, and I'll be ready to go to the University of Rome and study philosophy and history with a bunch of Italian kids. That was the plan. And you know what? Magically, my parents were like, yeah, it's doable. It's doable. Up to this point, I haven't asked them. Like, I should. I don't know what gives them the confidence to okay that plan, because it is ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. Half a year of Italian, like, God, what? Ciao. Yeah. And the planning really didn't took that much time, like maybe a few weeks searching on the internet. And I got everything prepared, all the document, all the application documents to the language school were ready in a couple weeks. And I heard back from the language school in a month or so. So in a matter of half a year, I was already on my plane to Italy. Yes, from the moment I quit university in China to the point I landed in Rome, it took me half a year. And in that half a year, I was just staying home, reading all the books I could. I was such a bookworm back then. I read as much as could, getting prepared. I was on a daily basis doing push-up. I was thinking, I'm gonna look good when I first go abroad. I gotta impress all these people, all these girls in Italy. You know, back then that was the idea. I want to be a good Chinese. I want to give out a good image for my country. I didn't know what to expect. Everything were super blurry back then for me. I just didn't know. I was doing push-up, I was reading, I was eating clean. I remember waking up in the morning, and the first thing I would do is to cook myself 2 toast. And then I'll put some kind of strawberry jam on top. But it was such a weird diet to have in the middle of China, because we don't do that. First, we don't we don't eat toast. And second, we don't eat strawberry jam. Third, we don't put toast and strawberry jam together. And every morning, like, I remember just sitting down with my parents occasionally. They will be having their soy milk, their warm, fresh out of the oven soy milk with their like fried dough, or their mantou, or their baozi, or meat bun, or whatever they were eating, or rice congee, very Chinese stuff they were eating. And on the side, I'll be holding a little plate with my strawberry jammed toasting there, and I'll probably have some milk. I'm lactose intolerant, and I was having milk on a daily basis. But yeah, the point of this was getting better, getting used to Italy, right? For my future in Europe. Didn't go well. Italy wasn't it. mate. It wasn't it. I wasn't ready. I went there. I just, what is this place? I didn't go to Rome right away. I went to this language school in Siena, in Toscana, in northern part of Italy, right in between Rome and Milan. There's this really beautiful area with famous wine and whatever. But their Italian is considered to be the most authentic, most standardized, most, you know, kind of like the Queen's English, I guess. If we're drawing a comparison with English now, so Italian there is considered to be beautiful, to be authentic, to be good. So I went there. It was a cute little city, I wouldn't lie, but back then I wasn't even in the mood to go through all those cathedrals or looking through the town and, finding a cute little cafe, having gelatos and, sitting down, maybe hitting on a few local girls. No, my headspace wasn't there. First thing first, why is everything so expensive? Like I was converting everything in my head from euro into Chinese renminbi, RMB. Everything is 8 times more now. So if I'm paying €1 or €2 or €3 for my cappuccino, like in Chinese, that's 24 RMB. That is crazy shitload of money. Do you know how much pocket money I got in middle school? 1 RMB at a time. 1. How much is that in euro? 10 cents. What do you got to get for 10 cents? In Italy, right? Back in 2011, I guess. Not much, I'm telling you. Everything was super expensive for me. I was like terrified about going out. I was kind of like always in school. If I finish school, I'm on my way to home, or I'm like on my way to the grocery. Even more terrifying, which was like looking at all this like price tags. It wasn't a cool experience. That's a first point, right? Second, I couldn't speak Italian. Remember? Not a word. English doesn't work in Italy. I didn't know. I thought everybody spoke English in Europe. I really thought that. Like I didn't think they were gonna speak fluently, but I also didn't speak fluently. I was pretty bad at English at that point, but I was confident we would be able to communicate on my essential needs in English. For example, hey, can I please get a SIM card for my phone? What? Yeah, they wouldn't help me. I don't know if they didn't understand or they're just trying to give me a hard time, but I lean towards the idea that it didn't understand. Okay, that made me feel better. But I couldn't get a lot of things done. I don't know how to say Italian. I didn't know how to speak Italian, and it was really hard for me. And quickly I realized I wasn't gonna be able to do university courses in half a year. That was a freaking joke. Like even the teacher were laughing at my face when she was asking me like, Pinchon, what you're doing here? What's your goal studying Italian? I said, I want to go to university. Oh, really? Cool. So you gotta be here for a while, studying the language with us? I said, yeah, half a year. Half a year? You're going to university? Yeah. What you gotta study? I'm gonna study philosophy and the history. Oh, really? Only the most demanding course on your Italian language, and you're giving a half a year. Yeah. It was it was a mission impossible for me. Like maybe for those Mormon guys who go to a foreign country to deliver the God message, they could learn their language on a 4-hour flight, 3-hour flight. I have seen those guys. They have touchdown in Estonia and they can speak Estonian and can be like, do you have a moment to talk about God? With guys on the street at the bus stop in front of Hobuyama, they could be talking about God with people in Estonian. That's it. They didn't have a lot of language. I don't know how they do it. I think the Mormon guys, they should They should start a business. They should do a startup. How to learn a foreign language the Mormon missionary way. It's got to earn money for them, for real. But for me, a Chinese little boy, I don't think I could have managed like learning Italian in half a year. It was a near impossible task for me. I still is, I think. But yeah, money were running low. I didn't have any source of income. I couldn't find a job. I didn't even try. I knew I wasn't going to get it. Back then, I was like, plus, besides point one, the finance point two, I don't speak Italian. There's also a point three. This is my first time outside of China. Scary for a 19-year-old. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to interact with people. I only had Chinese friend back home. Like all these white people. What's going on? What am I gonna do? I didn't know. I was terrified on a daily basis. You should have seen my haircut back then. It was a reflection of my panic attack. Like I used to have a buzzer and I would cut my own hair, and on the backside I didn't know how to do it, but I was still trying to be cool. So I was trying to cut a mohawk for myself somehow, like very tall in the middle, and then you know what a mohawk is. But yeah, I kind of like I didn't know how to do the backside, so I went with my feeling. So I just randomly did it, and I was like, oh, that felt all right. And I went to the uni the second day, and a classmate of mine who were also Chinese, and she just looked at me. She's like, Pinchon, are you all right? I was like, yeah. What? Do I not look all right? She's like, your hair. It looked like it got chewed up by a... it looked like it got chewed up by a mouse or something on the back. It's all... it's all bumpy and weird. Yeah. Life wasn't easy back then. My money were running low. My parents got some like I think maybe 2,000 euro for me. In Czech. It's just so weird. Every single detail. Like back, I don't know where I heard about it, but I remember maybe probably because of watching some movie, I told my parents, you know what? Like in the West, people use check. Have you seen those movies where people go to like a old fashioned bank, and then they give out like this piece of paper they call a check, and they're like, yeah, I want 500 euro because they wrote 500 euro on it, right? And then we'll get 500 euro in cash. For some odd reason, I thought that's the only way to get money out of the country. So I asked my parents to give me 2,000 euro of check. Imagine me going to an Italian bank, right? Middle of the day, empty. Nobody goes to the bank, by the way. Empty, just totally empty. Four Italian middle-aged women sitting there. There's a Chinese boy coming in, like timidly speaking without initiating any eye contact, avoiding all possible eye contact. Just like, can I maybe change this check into money? What? Money. It was so funny. Yeah, luckily I did get those check into I guess converted into money. I did realize those check into money. How do you call it? How do you say? How do you describe that process of giving them a check and then give you the money? Cash the check, I guess. I did cash those check eventually. It wasn't a problem, but it was still bizarre. I could have just bought like I don't know, anything could be better. A bank card with a Visa sign or MasterCard sign on it, that could have worked. No. Dad, I saw some American movies from the 60s. They use check, Dad. My dream were just collapsing in front of me, like those old Roman statue. They were collapsing, and I realized it. I wasn't that stupid. I knew I wasn't going to work out, and after 3 months and 4 months, I told my parents I'm gonna come home. Imagine, imagine that, imagine that furious reaction I got from them. Wasn't taking it lightly. Wasn't. I was being called. Ah, God. They never really verbally abused me, but they showed their they showed their anger. They also showed their disapproval. They also showed their disappointment. They let me know, especially my mom. My mom is straightforward. She told me shit. She told me stuff. I don't think you value our work. I don't think you know how hard it is for us to let you do all this. When you want to go to uni, we say, yeah, we're going to support you. Now you say you want to go to Italy. We say we're going to support you. Now you're doing this? You're pulling this on us? I didn't know what to say, to be honest. But I felt like it needed to be done. Like I couldn't do it. My dad was the one who bailed me out eventually. It was like, if our son couldn't make it there, let him home. Let him come home. What else could he do? He's a 19-year-old boy, never been anywhere. Now he's terrified probably. Do you want to see him killing himself out there? And that silenced my mom. My mom definitely didn't want to see me killing myself either. I don't think so. So 4 months after that, I came home. I remember getting back to the Shanghai International Airport and took this gigantic 28-inch suitcase that I bought specifically for the trip. I was dragging it all the way behind me. It was heavy. I took a lot of souvenir from Italy for all the families and all that. And when the door opened at the arrival hall, I saw my dad just standing out there, just himself. My mom wasn't there. I remember seeing him standing there, and I just went out. I don't know. I really wanted to cry. I think I might have cried a little bit, but I gave him a little hug. My parents are a lot huggy people. I think Chinese people are not huggy people, not very physical. They don't do this often. I didn't do this often, but it was really just a natural reaction I had. Not seeing them for 4 months for the first time in my life. I just went ahead and hugged him, and I remember I just said, sorry, Dad. Like, really sorry. Like, I'm sorry I disappointed you guys. I'm sorry. And I remember my dad just kind of looked away. He wasn't trying to look at me in the eyes. I don't know. Maybe he was getting emotional too. And he just said, 回来就好. In Chinese, that means good, you're back. As long as you're back. It was short. It was very dad. That was that. And then for a long time, we're just being quiet. He was insisting on dragging the suitcase behind him instead of letting me doing it. Yeah. I counted 2 failed college attempts so far. You know what? There's a third time. There's a third one. I went to Japan. I think a few months or half a year after this, I went to Japan for the third college trial. Third one. Whoa, that's very taxing for me to talk this long, actually, just by myself. It's a little bit over an hour. I haven't even got to the point how I'm going to meet my ex-girlfriend in Japan, who is Estonian. That kind of tied into the whole story I want to tell about how I ended up in Estonia. Like, it wasn't that simple. Might sound simple. Yeah, you met an Estonian growing in Japan, and then you moved here. Nah, it was actually a lengthy process to think about it, because after 3 years of college in Japan, I was in my 20s. I was a little bit more grown up, a little bit more to think about. So it was it was a more thought through kind of process. I knew if I'm gonna come here, I can't just quit like Italy or like my German, right? I can't do that anymore. I was 23, 24, 23, I think. I wanted to be more contemplated. I want to be more sure about it. There was a lot of thinking going into that. And also 3 years in Japan also taught me a lot of things about what I want, where I want to be in the future, and things like that. Yeah, but I don't think I can get into that right now. I'm just pretty spent, really tired. It's 12:40 almost. So I'm gonna stop it right there, right here, and we got come back and revisit this topic, in the next episode. Next episode. Next episode, I'm still hoping to have a guest on the show. So let's revisit this me coming over to Estonia in the future episode. And now we're stopping right here. I'm gonna go drink a little bit of water, take a shower, and then go to sleep. You guys have a great week ahead. I'll see you in the next one, all right? Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. That's for good luck. Good night.